Dr. Konak Mukherjee, a Virginia Tech Carilion research scientist, leads a team that is trying to understand the medical consequences of mutations in a mysterious gene called CASk.
So there's a whole range of things that could happen. So CASk is an X-linked gene, and it is present in 2 doses in female, but in boys there's only 1 dose. So in case of boys, if there was a big mutation, either the boy won't survive, or if they survive, they get intractable seizures throughout their infancy, a condition called Otahara syndrome. It's an epileptic encephalopathy, and eventually it will prove fatal, most likely. In girls, since there are 2 dosage of gene and a single gene gets mutated, the girl is necessarily not a lethal condition. What happens in this case is that the brain overall is smaller in size and the cerebellum is disproportionately small. It's really, really small. And we like to call it intellectual disability, but there's a lot of other problems.
Only a handful of labs in the world study the CASk protein, and Mukherjee believes his lab may be the only one pursuing CASk mutations in terms of neurological or neurodevelopmental disorders.
And we have done here is used a rodent model to recapitulate the phenotypes that you see in human. This is extremely important. First of all, from very basic scientific standpoint, if there's a mutation in humans that is associated with a disease or a disorder, and you can make the same mutation in mouse and create the same disease or disorder, you can firmly say that most likely the disease occurring is because of the loss of this gene. So you can basically start to gather evidence for causality. So this is the cause. The second thing we could do is that we could understand the mechanism of the disease and then try to find therapeutic strategies how to undo the disease. So recently we found that the effect of CASk deletion is what is we call non-cell autonomous, which involves extracellular signaling mechanisms. That means we can really do something about it. We can manipulate the system so as to negate the disease condition.
Researchers and clinicians are only now coming to grips with this disorder and problems that families have had to work through themselves.
And so there's little knowledge out of there. And so that's why initially we formed this social networking page. And all of us have learned a lot from this. Not only sharing experiences, but also, so you can imagine a child who has severe problems, right? Very many different symptoms that might occur to that child. The parents are confused whether it is because of this gene mutation or is something else. Every child has some degree of illnesses during their childhood. How do you know whether that illness is associated with that gene or something else? So you need a certain degree of expertise to dissociate the two. And I have been able to help them to an extent. And also, as I say, I also learn back from them as I get some feedbacks.
Mukherjee believes the research will provide scientists with insight on a variety of important healthcare issues.
So if we really focus on this disorder, what we think eventually we'll understand are what are those key steps or key signaling mechanism that is required for adequate brain growth after birth. And you can imagine that has widespread applications in very many different things, from malnutrition to infectious diseases. And I think that's where it will make a major impact.
At the Virginia Tech Carilion Research Institute, I'm David Hungate.